Okay, so this is a workshop called Meditation Basics. Hi, welcome. And I've done the Meditation Basics classes for the last couple of years in California and here, and I tend to break them up into sort of series of 3 or 4 classes that all work on a particular aspect of the meditation path, because of course there's so much to talk about when it comes to meditation. And so this series I'm calling Balancing the Mind, because the specific kind of topics and tips and techniques that I'm going to be focusing on are about how to find that state of clarity and stability that is what we like to think of when we think, yeah, that mind of meditation, what I'd like my mind to feel like during meditation, in my life after meditation, when I get up off the cushion. And fortunately, there's been a lot of writing in the texts of Buddhism, in the texts of the yoga tradition, and also in the sort of current meditation meets neuroscience information that's out there now, which talks about ways of helping the mind reach that kind of balance and clarity. So today specifically we're going to be talking about the mind-body connection and ways in which the things that you do with your body, whether it be, sleep, diet, time of day, physical exercise, sitting position, how some of those things can either give you the best possible shot at your meditation session or completely hamstring and sabotage, like, getting 2 hours of sleep and then eating 6 pancakes or something like that, things, just sort of basic kind of things to point us in the right direction. And then we'll go on in the next 2 weeks to talk more specifically about the 2 main problems, the extremes of the mind, which is crazy agitation and distraction, and complete dullness, fogginess, sleepiness, and specific techniques to, if you find your mind going in that direction during meditation, to bring yourself back to this middle, to this state of energized, engaged clarity without hyperactive distraction or without sort of dark, sinking fogginess. And, the payoff here is that all these techniques that we're learning to use in meditation are training our mind to be able to be in that state all day. So it's not just about having a good 15 minutes on the cushion and then being, drowsy and spaced out while at work, or being, hyperactive and scattered when we're trying to play with our kids. It's about taking those techniques and taking that kind of mind state that we've cultivated in meditation and being able to carry that forward, or being able to be aware when your mind is falling into one of those sides or the other, and know how to bring it back. So I wanted to start with a meditation. Now, you have a couple of options here. If you want to try meditating on the ground like this, you can do that. It'll just be, 10-15 minutes. And then we'll talk a little more, then we'll do another meditation. Sitting on a chair is great. So if you're on a chair, you want to have both feet flat on the ground. These are nice high bolsters. They're doing a restorative yoga class here on Tuesday nights. So we've got these bolsters for a while. Where in restorative yoga, you basically nap on bolsters the whole time. It's really awesome. On the ground, you want to just have your legs comfortably crossed. So already we're talking about the mind-body connection, right? If you put your body at the beginning of meditation in an uncomfortable position, it ain't going to get any better. So if you find that as you initially sit down, one of your legs is just really putting a lot of pressure on your other foot, then that's probably going to become a problem in 5 or 10 minutes. So just checking in, what feels comfortable to you. Then the most important point of meditation posture is that the spine is straight. And this is another aspect of the body-mind connection. When the central nervous system, the spine, all of those nerve pathways and the ganglions and the plexi and all that good stuff that is oriented along the spine, is nice and straight. And in a yogic sense, when the central channel of the body is nice and straight, you have the ability to move energy well, you have the ability for the body to function well, and it's going to keep you in that balanced state. So spine nice and straight. And then just lift up the shoulders for a minute and just let them drop down. So the shoulders are just resting naturally, falling away from the ears. Hands, no need to do any funky like yoga journal mudra or whatever, just let them rest on the knees. And you can try palms up sometimes you can try palms down. I find palms down very sort of grounded. And then pay attention to the back of your neck and the orientation of your chin. So this nice straight spine is going to continue all the way up your neck. So the chin is level with the ground, the back of the neck is long, shoulders are level, and then relax the jaw. So it's very easy to carry tension into our meditation from our day through the neck muscles, jaw muscles, face muscles, shoulders. So just an extra little tune in. They say to prevent excess saliva during meditation. This is from the Tibetan tradition. They think about everything. You can place the tip of your tongue against the roof of your mouth. And that'll allow the back of the jaw to just gently open up as well. And now it's your choice whether you fully close your eyes or bring them down so that you can just see a little bit of light or maybe a little bit of the floor in front of you. And now take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, just think to yourself, okay, this is fine. This is a position that I'm going to be just fine in. For the next 10 minutes, there's no need to move, no need to fiddle. My body is safe and comfortable, setting up the perfect condition to now focus in on the mind. So first, allow your mind to be as broad as this entire room, this entire building maybe. Any sort of little sounds, smells from the environment around you or the road outside, just let them be there. Feel the brightness that it gives the mind to keep it wide open like this. Your body is also in this wide open awareness. The feeling of your seat pressing against the cushion or the chair. The feeling of your feet on the floor. The cool or warm breeze that moves past your cheek. Maybe even a few thoughts floating in and out. But try to keep your mind just on the sensations, sounds and feelings that are in this present moment, without dreaming about the future or fantasizing about the past. If your mind starts to make any extrapolations on things that you feel or hear, just let them pass by. simply observing. And now keeping a general awareness of the room that you're sitting in, bring your attention more closely to just the sensations inside your body. Maybe do a little scan from head to toe. If you find an area that's cool, you can label it cool, warm, sore, comfortable. Keeping the mind inside the body, seeing what you find. If your mind starts to have things to say about what you find when scanning the body, just let those go. No judgment. Attention focused on the body at the same time of being aware of your surroundings. Pressure of the cushion, soreness in the shoulder. Now bring your mind in a little bit closer to just the sensations related to the breath in your body. So there may be a place where you particularly can feel it most strongly, whether it's the abdomen, the shoulders, chest, coolness on the inside of the nostrils as you breathe in. Not an idea of the breath, not a visualization of the breath, but really noticing what's there. Each breath a little different. And as you're aware of your breath and of your body and of the room, see if you can be aware of the quality of your mind. Any major emotions dominating the landscape? Any major distractions vying for your attention? Just make a note. And specifically, I'd like for you to note which side you're tending to right now. Fogginess, sleepiness, dullness, or agitation, distraction, thoughts running around in there. Just make a note. And slowly bring your attention back to the sensations of the breath. Broaden your mind to include all the sensations of your body. Broaden the mind even further, taking in, welcoming everything in the room. Before we come out of meditation, just make a note of any areas of physical tension that you feel. And maybe we can find a way to adjust your position to help that for next time. So finally, wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing your energies back out to the periphery of your body. Take a deep breath, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. How did that go? I know Kalia has some experience with meditation. Anyone else have a meditation practice or have tried it before that they want to share?
I just tried it on my own. I haven't ever taken a class, but I thought it was time to actually take a class. That was very beautiful. Definitely, yeah. I'm a little bit, I have this pressure right here, so it's a little sleepy. So it's the only thing that's there. But I was just trying to observe and be with it.
Yeah, so are you a little bit congested as well, like a sinus kind of?
Yeah, and I'm fasting to get rid of it right now. But, so.
Yeah, and what you're doing with nutrition can definitely affect the energy levels in one direction. So that's really good to know and to be able to connect it with something. And we will be talking about, especially I think either next week or the week after, we'll be doing a whole class on the dullness aspect and how to work with that. But I find as well, if I'm not able to really get a good amount of oxygen, like if one side of my nose is stuffed or the other, it's easier for my mind to feel less bright. You know, it's almost like I'm not getting that every breath, just sheer oxygen infusion to the brain because there's a little bit of closed off, so it's easier to think a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Other people on the dullness distraction sort of scale here?
I have a little internal chuckle because he said, which side are you favoring? And I was like, oh, my right side. Oh, she's not talking about that. I did the same thing.
Such a body.
Yeah. I was like, oh, yeah, I got this.
Well, in yoga, actually, there is a correlation. Yeah. So they would say that the left side of the body is more related to distraction, and the right side of the body is more related to like sinking and dullness.
Oh, that's good to know.
That's just one. So, you know, and we will be talking about the body-mind connection, but one of the things about the yoga system is that it's based on the idea that everything that's going on in your body is mirrored in your mind, and everything that's going on in your mind is mirrored somewhere in your body. Mm-hmm. And this, of course, in somatic psychology and in, you know, neurobiology, this is becoming, you know, a very common sort of belief. If you look at hormones and neurotransmitters and things like that, then mental states really are physical states as well. So, yeah, you know, working on that for 2,000-3,000 years in the yoga tradition, it's nice to catch up a little. So that kind of meditation is, it's from the Shamatha Vipassana tradition. And the purpose of it is to train us to both be very aware of just what's going on around and not be just kind of in our heads all the time, but also to see where our heads are at. So at the same time as we're watching our breath, we're also learning a lot about our minds. So in that way, even a simple breath meditation can bring a lot of sort of self-knowledge and wisdom, because you say, well, it wasn't until, you know, I tried to just focus on my breath that I noticed how much that thing that person said to me really did hurt me. You know, like even just the fact of quieting things down. Or, you know, I feel after that yoga practice, I didn't realize how good I felt until I tried to meditate, and I felt my mind just brimming with energy. And so you learn about your life, you learn about your mind and how it's working, simply by removing everything else, for one thing. So it works on a lot of different levels. So one way to think about the mind-body connection, that how I like to talk about it is, there's this concept sometimes in yoga of full paths like yoga and Buddhism, of inner and outer methods. So in order to reach a state of happiness, of well-being, of self-sufficiency and balance, one way to get there would be to simply just use mental things. Go to counseling, do meditation, read books on the subject of happiness. Another way to get there would be to just go through outer methods, like, do cleanses, take a lot of yoga, go out dancing, listen to music that you love and try to find a path to happiness in that way. Serve other people, serve at a soup kitchen, feel that goodness coming from that direction. But the most fast and sort of powerful way to get to a goal like, total contentedness and ability to help others is by using inner and outer methods together. So, we're probably doing that more than we think. Like for instance, if we're going out dancing, we're moving our body, but we're also going and having this wonderful sense of community with the people that we go with. We're changing our mind state at the same time as we're moving the body. So a lot of times they are connected. But I wanted to talk about how you can connect them even within the context of a meditation practice. So ultimately, the struggles and the rewards of meditation are happening on the mental plane. And there's a lot of different things that you can do to do an inner method. Use an aspect of the mind to help bring the mind to a place where you want. So sometimes we think of the mind as being one thing. But even just in that meditation, when I said, have a look at the quality of your concentration. Well, who was looking? And who was it looking at? So already we have two different parts of the mind looking at each other. So some of the inner methods are ones that we talked about in the last series, using positive reinforcement, noting things that feel good about meditation during the session to try to reprogram your subconscious to get you back on the cushion, or using the mind to look at the mind. Say like, oh, I notice that I'm dull. Now I'm going to do something to wake up. And that's an inner method because it's happening within your concentration. There's a lot of ways to use the body and your outer actions to facilitate the inner experience as well. And I think that these are especially important in kind of what we're talking about in this class, which is sort of the basics of meditation, either how to start a meditation practice if you don't have one, or how to get on a regular daily basis, how to have more success in your meditation. And sometimes the things that are stopping us are not necessarily just the things that happen on the cushion, but they're the things that happen in the rest of our lives that aren't supporting that moment on the cushion, or they're happening because of problems with the physical body that are just taking your mind away over and over. So, we will talk about yoga specifically, but some other things that we've talked about in these classes, like even just setting up a nice physical space. The difference between going, it's time to meditate, and sitting down in a corner with your crowded desk cluttered with work papers right in front of you, and taking the time to like clean off the desk, or at least just put like a drape over it, or go in another room where you don't do all of your work and meditate there, can really make the difference between what then happens when you get on the cushion. So there's a lot of different things we can talk about. So since this is meditation basics, I wanted to just sort of give an outline of what, from my experience, from the classes I've taken, from what my teachers and my friends have experienced, might be like a reasonable kind of, way to set up for your meditation practice. And you guys can notice all the different outer methods that are in here. So, first of all, get enough sleep. Kulia. Me, Claire, get enough sleep. Obviously, in the fight against dullness, the amount of sleep is going to make a difference. And I found that right away when I first started to meditate. I realized that I need to, at least a couple of times a week, I need to get 9 hours, not even 8 hours, in order to not just be kind of on the edge of that 7.5 hour kind of thing that I thought I needed, until I would sit down and close my eyes and so you start the night before getting enough sleep. Also the night before, if you're part of the smartphone universe, set your phone on airplane mode, or even not with a smartphone. Don't use your phone as an alarm clock, because people are going to be calling and texting you, and work's going to be calling, and all that's going to come in just in that morning space when you try to get up and sit down to meditate. So either put the phone away, turn it off, put it on airplane mode. Then when you wake up in the morning, don't answer the phone, don't go on email, don't go have that difficult conversation with your teenager that you've been, dreading. Like, try to get the meditation in while you still have that blank slate of a mind for the morning. And it's nice to just have some silence in the morning. It also means don't turn on NPR. I used to wake up with NPR as my alarm clock all the time. And then when I met my current boyfriend, who's a meditator and everything, he was like, can we not have that be the first thing that we hear? Because it's, it is part of my practice to be involved in the world and, sign petitions. But does that need to happen in the first half hour of my day? Probably not. So then have a spot set aside in your house where you meditate. Maybe before going to bed, clean off any work-related things so you don't even have to see them in the morning. I work from home, so I'm using that example. Maybe it's for you, it's toys from your toddler or something like that. But whatever it is that you can do the night before, so that when you walk into that space, it's already got that kind of meditation-y vibe. Then take a minute to just tidy it up, have everything you need, little glass of water, wrap in case you get cold. No excuses to get up in the middle of the session and be like, oh, I just needed a drink of water. Have some sort of timer so that you're not thinking, was that half an hour, was that 10 minutes, was that, and keep looking. After a while of meditating, you'll be like, I can tell pretty well now when 15 minutes have gone by, because for a number of years, I've had timers that just go ding every 15 minutes, so I know kind of where I am in my 45-minute or my hour meditation block. But still, if I have somewhere to go, I will want to look at the time and say, like, for some reason, did I space out, and is it now 10:30 in the morning and I was supposed to be at work an hour ago or something? Experiment with different kinds of sitting positions. Try a chair, try a cushion, try a lower cushion. Like, that was a really nice setup. Some people, if they have really tight hips, will need to be up on something really high. Some people who are more loose find it very uncomfortable to sit on a high cushion. So, it's not going to be the same thing for everybody. And, a chair is great. When I first started meditating, my back was pretty weak because I was doing I'm a massage therapist, I was doing a lot of massage work. So if I meditated, and my schedule switched between starting at 8 in the morning and starting at 3 in the afternoon. So half the days I would meditate in the morning and half the days I would meditate in the evening. And if I meditated in the evening, I would sit in a chair with a back support, because otherwise I spent the whole session just kind of, But in the morning, I was fine on a cushion, and it helped me, being on a cushion, build up the kind of back strength so that now I don't need to sit on a chair anymore. But if you have knee problems and you don't want to push it, you can spend your whole meditation career in a chair, and that's fine, as long as the back is nice and straight. In the dullness class, we'll talk about standing meditation and walking meditation. If you really are falling asleep, there's other options. To start with, 10 or 15 minutes is great. It's better to meditate 10 minutes every day than meditate for an hour once a week and then keep falling off and losing the momentum. Because once a week will turn into nonce a week pretty quickly when you put that much space in between. And then, every week or two, just say, like, well, what about 5 more minutes? It's very similar to building up strength you know, doing weights at the gym or doing yoga. You want to develop the ability and the energy of the mind and the skills to be able to stay clear and focused for a reasonable amount of time, rather than pushing yourself to do 2 hours at first and just having your mind be just exhausted and not able to stay in the box at all. But over time, you can add more and more time, and eventually 2 hours will feel great. So, especially on retreat. And then if you've got a 15-minute, if you're going to meditate for 15 minutes, then set aside half an hour. Because if you have to leave for work at 9 in the morning and you say, oh, I'll just sit down at 8:45, it's just going to be a distractive disaster. So pad the time a little bit. Okay, you know, here's 5-10 minutes for me to set up the space. Know that when you first sit down, you're going to go, that's going to take a couple of minutes. Don't start the timer until the body's in a good position. And then afterwards, you don't want to have to like leap up and jump in the car. You want to be able to just take a minute to see what it feels like to open your eyes with that meditative mind. See what it feels like to stand up, to make a quiet cup of tea with that meditative mind. And then, you know, gradually get around to opening your computer or whatever after that. Also, a meditation journal can be really nice. If you have it next to you when you're done with your meditation, you can just sort of write down, you know, well, I felt an agitation and dullness is a really good thing to keep track of in the journal. What time did I meditate? 2 in the morning. How was my mental state? I was really dull for some reason. You know, you're like, oh, yeah, maybe there's something. You know, sometimes you just got to write it down to see what's actually going on. And then also, you know, if anything sort of came up, any sort of insights or anything, you know, it's good to be able to feel like you're honoring that by taking the time with it, not just in the meditation, but in another format. Maybe you have to say, look, I really need to go and apologize to that person, or I really need to take care of that thing that I said that I was going to do that I didn't, because it just kept popping up. And in that way, you allow the meditation to move beyond the cushion as well. And you're sitting up straight in the posture we went over at the start of class. And for the meditations, if you're just getting started, you can do that meditation that we did in the beginning, or in the end of each class, we'll do a meditation that's a little more on the analytical or visualization aspect of meditation. In the beginning of class, we'll do a breath meditation. So you may feel drawn to one or the other, or, you know, maybe you want to try the one that you feel less drawn to, just to see how that shakes things up. So if you have to meditate in the evening, not the morning, then take a little break in between. Or if you wake up in the morning and you're feeling sleepy, do something to reset the mind. Take a brisk walk, take a shower, stick your head out the window, have a cup of tea. Let the mind settle from what you were doing all day before. And when I say relaxing, I don't mean watch the 6 o'clock news. I mean to crack open a beer and watch the 6 o'clock news. No, just try to do something that's similar to the way that you feel when you wake up in the morning. Something to just sort of, maybe it's take a nap, just to sort of whoosh, whoosh. This wonderful Indian lineage Swami in Australia, who I did a retreat with this winter, she said it's that sleep, windshield wipers, the dirty back window of the mind. You know, swish, 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 swish. Okay, now I can see clearly. Mm-hmm. I like that. Mm-hmm. And also, I'm so happy someone asked this to my current meditation teacher when I was on retreat with him last month. Okay, we have to ask the coffee question. Mm-hmm. And he said, bless his heart, very kindly, that if you're used to drinking a cup of coffee in the morning to just feel human, don't stop just to meditate and then feel awful. Like, if you need to wean yourself off coffee, if that's important, then find a way to do that. But don't expect that, you know, just like that you're not going to be really dull for the first couple of days or week or whatever. So when you're starting meditation, it might be better to just keep doing whatever you're doing. You know, I have a cup of green tea or yerba mate in the morning, and that's fine for me. I'm okay with that. And but if you don't drink coffee, don't think that a cup of coffee is going to make your meditation better. Don't start. So, and try not to, try to eat very lightly before meditation. Or if you're going to meditate, after, like in the evening, try to wait like 45 minutes, an hour after dinner. So those are like some just very basic, and I can send you a list of those if you want, just to, have those to kind of check through. None of those are about what happens between you and your mind in meditation, but sometimes you can't even tell what your mind is doing because all the other factors, my body was so uncomfortable, I was so sleepy because I just ate a big meal, or I couldn't stop thinking about that text message that came in on my cell phone right before, and that can just set you back to not even be able to get to that point where you really start, being with your mind, with your body, with your breath. So there's those are some, can you see all the outer methods there just to get to the point where your mind could have the best possible shot at it? Any questions about any of those?
So you're saying coffee's not a good idea?
That's not what I said.
Right.
So what I said is, if for all the reasons that you have for doing what you do, you're comfortable with being a coffee drinker, don't try to meditate before your coffee. If you need to have the coffee, like if that's part of your morning routine, then it's probably a good idea to just have the coffee and then meditate. But sometimes there's and I've had this as well, like if I'm experiencing a lot of dullness over a period of days or weeks, I'll think like, oh, I should like have a cup of coffee instead of tea before meditation. And then, but that's not allowing me to really learn how to use my mind to bring myself out of dullness. And then coffee will always be a crutch because I'm using it to specifically because I just can't stand sitting there in dullness in my meditation, and I don't want to use all the mental techniques to bring myself out of it. And actually, that has changed now. For the first time, I don't really have a problem with dullness, just since this last retreat that I did. And it was partly through just absolutely using all the mental techniques and not just going, oh, I feel sleepy, so I just won't meditate until I don't feel sleepy, but saying like, this is the time to sit down and meditate, and I've got 45 minutes, and I'm going to do everything I can to keep brightening my mind. We'll spend a whole class talking about those different ways. But, if that's part of your routine, like I don't feel like giving up my cup of green tea, so I'm happy that he didn't say like every meditator must be caffeine free or they don't get into yoga paradise or something. No, it's not about that. We're all different. So is that okay?
I have a question about this, that when I start to get really relaxed into meditation, then I start to slump. It's almost like, and then my back hurts, and then I start to go, and I find I keep wavering between those. It's the idea that I have to keep my back straight, and I don't know, maybe it's better to just relax a little about that. I don't know.
Well, that's a really good question, actually, because that's the one adjustment, especially during a longer session, that you may have to make that isn't sort of considered moving, is that if you feel yourself slumping down, then while still focusing on whatever you're focusing on, just get in the habit of just slightly sitting up again. So try to do it really mindfully, really slowly. Don't feel bad about the fact that you have to do it or let it become a mental thing. Just have it be this really subtle physical thing. You notice that you're slumping, you're still immersed in the sensations of the breath, and you just gently straighten up. And as you do that, it'll become more and more natural to do it without even really noticing. And then eventually you can, especially if you're doing other kinds of practices like yoga or Pilates or belly dancing, that increase core strength, then eventually you'll be able to just go, okay, I'm sitting down to meditate. I'm going to just gently engage my core, and it's going to stay that way while I meditate. And it's not, like you can keep that in your outer level of awareness. like the same level of awareness that was just like maybe hearing Dana typing a little bit, that outer level of awareness would also just be noticing that you're still sitting up straight. So as the mind becomes more developed and as you have more energy in the mind in meditation, you can kind of be I don't want to say multitasking because I really like multitasking, and it's a sign of how much I like it that I'm thinking of it in that terms. I'm like, when I get better at meditating, then I can multitask in meditation. No. But in a way, it's sort of keeping a sense of body awareness while the mind is very focused, which is very possible. I mean, for anyone who is, doing performance dance or theater or anything, you are really, really focused with the mind on the lines that you're sending or where you're looking or your gaze at the same time as your body is doing the things that it needs to be done. So you'll just
Okay.
give it a try. And that's one benefit of either trying to sit on the very edge of the chair with no back support or sitting on a cushion, is that that's how you develop these muscles, the mid-back muscles that just gently pull the shoulder blades down and towards each other, and the core muscles that gently keep the pelvic bowl kind of stable. Those are the kind of things that can be developed outside of meditation through yoga, Pilates, whatever. But you'll also start to develop those muscles if you sit for longer in meditation. And sometimes in the beginning you might feel a little soreness, like right underneath the shoulder blades in the mid-back. And that's just a sign that those muscles, which are not contracted when we're working on the computer, they're not contracted, like they're overstretched when we're driving the car, when we're, sitting and watching TV. When we try to make the spine straight and draw the shoulders back, those muscles are engaged almost for the first time. So it'll be natural to have a little bit of soreness there in the beginning phases of starting a meditation practice. But if it's not acute or sharp shooting pain, or you have a history of problems in those areas, then kind of go with it, because it means you're starting to use those muscles, and that'll actually help in posture in life as well. So you have a little, can you feel that area?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the mid-back?
Yeah, sort of
It's like
mid-back.
right below my bra strap.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so where the erector spinae muscles sort of go over the lower ribs, sometimes that can just be really weak, because so often we're pulling our shoulders forward to do all this stuff that we do. It's like giant hands in the camera. Do all this stuff that we're doing in front of us. But when you actually try to take the shoulders back and sit up straight, these muscles have to kind of hold their own. And it's one reason that sitting with like a lumbar support or a back pillow can be good, but it also can let the back not get stronger.
Crutch.
It is kind of, yeah, it's like wearing a wrist brace. You can actually atrophy the muscles on your wrists, and then they'll be more likely to be injured, so it's kind of that middle ground of wanting to be very safe and very kind to your body, but also wanting to challenge yourself. And it's the same thing with the mind in meditation. It's like you want to always be, they call it diligence, always saying like, well, this is my comfort zone, but what about 5 more minutes this week? Or what about I just not let that thought take me away today? Or what about, I feel that little bit of soreness, I'm just not going to move. If it's still there in 5 minutes, then I can move. But you're training yourself to be aware of your body, aware of your mind, and also to make conscious decisions about it, rather than just be drawn by fear or desire. So part of the thing with sensations in the body, and why they're an interesting meditation object, is because generally we're habituated to notice the bad things, and we'll do. Sometimes we do a version of the opening meditation where first you just notice everything that feels good. And actually we'll do that in yoga today, because it's so often that we'll just completely see our body as a map of whatever's sore. rather than notice what is actually strong and what's actually doing well. And then when we fixate on those things that are giving us the pain signals or the uncomfortable, or I'm falling asleep, foot to brain, we're falling asleep down here, then immediately the desire is to, rather than sort of accept and see what happens and understand that suffering is a part of life or things like that, it's just be like, oh, we got to do something. We can't have a little bit of discomfort. And that becomes almost like an instinctive way that the mind reacts to a lot of stuff. So again, an amazing yoga teacher at Wanderlust last year, and she got us into this crazy uncomfortable hip opening pose where like our legs were like apart and our hips were like uneven and the whole weight of our body was like pushing down, trying to open the hips up more. It's just, and she was just like, what the heck are you doing? And then she said, whatever is happening in your mind right now is the way that you deal with discomfort in all areas of your life. So just don't move. Don't curse me. See what your mind is doing. She said, maybe you're blaming the teacher. Maybe you blame other people when things are uncomfortable. Maybe you're just spacing out and thinking about other stuff, and that might be a technique. Maybe you're just gently, and this is what I was doing, just sort of gently trying to make little adjustments, hoping maybe the discomfort would go away without the teacher noticing. Then you're a fixer, you're a helper. You think, oh, there's a problem, I'll just do something about it. So it's interesting, like, what happens with our body in yoga, in the just process of sitting still. Sitting still, that's hard. Sitting still, keeping the mind still in meditation is really hard, but for some people, especially people that are very movementy, doey kind of people, body people, yoga people, active helpers, just sitting still can be really challenging. And it's challenging not just for the body, but for the mind as well, because it's the mind that says it's intolerable that our foot fall asleep. We need to do something about that. And one of the things that we see if we go deeper into meditation practice and through longer sessions is a lot of times if you don't move, the thing will just go away. Because it may be the mind blowing up something to try to get you to move because you've been sitting there for 45 minutes focusing on the breath and you're bored. This happened to me a lot in retreat. My knee would hurt and I would immediately think, I've had a history of knee injuries. I need to move my knee. And then I would just say, well, let me just focus on my knee for a little bit and see what's actually going on. And as soon as I paid attention to it, it would stop. Like, okay, all right, I'm going to go back to the breath now. I go back to the breath and the knee would be like, knee. And I'm like, okay, what do you want? Nothing, okay. And it was a way of my mind trying to keep itself interested by just finding something other than the boring old breath that I had been focusing on for, 7 hours a day for 6 days at that point to get my attention going. So it's a really, it's totally not what I was planning on talking about, but in terms of the mind and the body, it's a really interesting way of the mind-body connection is that sometimes the mind, for its own purposes, is giving us information about the body to try to get us to do something, to change something that is actually for a mental or emotional reason. So it's interesting, like eating, do we really need to eat that whole chocolate cake? Or is there some sort of emotional reason that our mind has gotten our body to tell us that that chocolate cake is somehow the one thing that we need? Is that coming from, a serious concern about caloric intake and blood sugar that maybe we need to increase those in order to not starve? Or is it coming from a mental thing? And it's very similar with the body and meditation. It's like there's one of the things that I really like, the sort of hardcore teacher in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, Shantideva, he said you need to be aware as well that if you start really pampering the body, then the body is going to constantly ask to be pampered. So there's this balance between taking really good care of the body, but also being willing to let it go and not letting it run the show all the time. And so again, it's about a balance. It's not about, oh, the body is bad and the mind and the soul are ineffable and they're mental and the body, there's so many religious traditions that have kind of done that mind-body dichotomy. We're trying to bring them together here. But it's easy to fall over in one direction or the other, either saying, the body is the most important or the mind is the most important. So that's why at the very end of that meditation, I asked you to take a note of anything that felt uncomfortable. Not so that you could wait until your next meditation session and then fix it by trying to make like little movements during the 15 minutes a day that you set aside to meditate, but so that you could do something between now and when you meditate tomorrow to alleviate that discomfort. Do a couple of stretches. Stay for the yoga workshop. Eat a little more before you come to class next time. Eat a little less. Sit on a chair next time. But do something in between sessions with an outer method to give you a better shot at where the mind is during the session. And, I know for me, if I'm not doing enough yoga or if I'm not getting massages regularly enough, when I sit up to meditate, I'll start getting this little crack between my shoulders. And I can spend a 45-minute session going crack, 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 crack. And I'm like, and then the whole next day I won't do anything about it. And then I'll notice the next day in meditation, there it is again. And so that to me is like a reminder that, I'm a massage therapist. I need to be getting massages, just like I tell my clients to. I need to be, doing a regular yoga practice and making it so that I'm not spending my whole meditation session sort of, fidgeting and fiddling. So
I just wanted to comment.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how much that relates to, like, it's not how you feel about what you're doing. It's not what your body is feeling, it's how you feel about what you're doing. Like when I'm shoveling, it's like, oh God, this is heavy. Oh, and I'm complaining to myself the whole time. But then I play tennis for 2 hours, get sore as hell, and I don't care. Like I lunge for something, oh, that hurts. Oh, that's good hurt, And so it depends what it is that you're doing. So I was thinking like with meditation, you can't expect it to be just this total euphoria when you sit down. There's going to be twinges and hurt, just like in tennis, but it's part of doing it.
Yeah, it really is the mental. If you're very, and actually this is an important inner method that I was meaning to mention. So thank you. Your sense of motivation and purpose is so important. And in the first class of the last series, we talked a lot about the benefits of meditation. We'll talk about that a little bit in a future class. But just reminding yourself all the good things that come from meditation, the physical benefits, lowering the blood pressure, keeping the mind young, decreasing, the risk of early onset dementia, lowering the stress hormone cortisol, which causes all sorts of digestive and heart problems. And the mental benefits of being more patient with other people, understanding yourself better, like reviewing some of those regularly can help you go through meditation. And when some little thing comes up, it's not like, as they used to say in Beavis and Butthead, this sucks, change it. So, it's not like, well, let's go on to the next thing. Instead, you say, well, I'm here for a reason, and I'm here because of this person in my life that I want to have a better relationship with, or I'm here because I want to be able to, have a better relationship with my mind about this issue, or be more, forgiving, or, that I want to be able to think more clearly at work and have that crispy clarity of concentration. Reviewing those things are an inner method that you can do before meditation every day that allows you to just be like, all right, let's go. And then when the body twinges, or then when the mind wants to start checking email while you're on your cushion, you can go, you know what? Those are not as important as this thing. This reason, that the larger reason that I'm here, my sense of purpose. And it's the same thing with tennis. You know, if you're there because you really enjoy tennis, you enjoy the camaraderie, you enjoy, making a good shot and helping. She plays doubles, so there's a nice sort of compassion element, not letting the team down. That infuses all those aches and pains with it sort of makes them not as important in the light of the overall reason that you're doing it, kind of thing. Whereas if you're shoveling and you feel like other people should be doing this, and what are those? Yeah, where is my daughter? Where is my daughter Claire, and why is she not out shoveling? I see she's on Facebook. She should be out here. Anyways, and then I just went outside and I Facebooked myself shoveling. Like I'm shoveling. All right. So I wanted to talk just a little more about the mind-body connection as it's found in the yoga texts, and then I wanted to do a little tiny mini seated yoga sequence, and then do another little meditation and see if that did anything to the mind. So the whole basis of the system of yoga is that it's a body-mind practice. And the yoga asanas that we do in yoga classes are one part of an 8-part system that involves, keeping good ethics. It involves all different sorts of meditation. And the sense of using the body and mind together in yoga is, you find it in the Tibetan texts as well. They say, okay, here's a little bit of Tibetan for you. Lungsam Jupa Chipa, which means the physical energies of the body, the lung, and the sem, the mind, the thoughts, are like a horse and rider going together. Lungsam Jupa Chipa. And so we would generally like to think, I think especially in our sort of Western society, that the thoughts are the rider, and the rider is in control of that unruly horse of the body, right? But it really is it really can go either way, right? So we can see the effects when our mind gets really disturbed. The body, the breath becomes uneven. The body, if you're really sobbing, your body is moving, your hand is shaking. When you get angry, right, your face changes color, you get a ringing in your ears, hands clenching, throat gets tight, anxiety with the physical symptoms of the chest and the shoulders getting tight. And so when the mind, gets really unstable, then the horse of the body can just sort of take off, and they're not working together anymore. But you can see how they affect each other. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali from 2,000 years ago say, the mind flies off, and with that comes pain in the body, unhappy thoughts, shaking in the hands and other parts of your body, the breath falling out of rhythm as it passes in and out. Which is a pretty apt description of what happens when, if you're in the presence of someone who's just had, really bad news, or is just, feeling so hurt by something. And what do we say to them? Naturally, we say, just take a deep breath, right? So the breath is like an intermediary between the mind and the body. In the yogic system of the layers of the body, the outer body is on the outermost, then the breath, then the sort of energies, the prana, the chi, and then the thoughts on the inside. And anything that changes in any of those layers affects all the other layers. So, think about the case of someone who's really, really excited about something. They're getting the butterflies in the stomach, maybe the hands are trembling again. Something's happening with the body. I'm so excited. The breath starts to get, different. It starts changing. It becomes a bit uneven. The thoughts are different. And you have these sensations of the tingling, the butterflies, the temperature changes. All of those can relate to differences in the flow of chi and prana in the body as well. So the whole point of yoga asanas are really to contribute to and to work with the states of the mind. So I know that you do yoga. You've done some. You definitely do. Do you do a little bit? So there's an interesting breakdown in different yoga poses that work with these two extremes. So any kind of like forward bending or child's pose, those can calm down the distraction, agitation of the mind really well. And any kind of back bends or heart openers can help brighten up the mind if you're feeling dull. And things like the sun salutes, where you're essentially going in and then out and up and down, and those balance you whichever direction you're in. Same with some of the breathing practices. Or if you do like the Kapalabhati breath, that can definitely give you some energy. So that's a good thing to do if you're dull. We'll talk about that more. But so it really makes sense to take whatever kind of physical practice you like, whether it's yoga or qigong or dancing or just some stretches or going for a brisk walk or a run, and think about that as part of how you're contributing to your meditation practice. See how your mind feels different. The endorphins that get released when you go for a run or when you play tennis. They're actually, they numb the pain. That's why you don't feel sore until afterwards. Well, that's not the only reason, but I will make the facts fit my point. And you can also see this with massage and with shiatsu and with acupuncture. If you're having pain on the meditation cushion, you may need to go, to someone like Todd who practices here, or myself, or there's an acupuncture clinic here on Tuesdays. And those are specifically meant, the pressure point work, the shiatsu, to realign the energy in the body so that the mind is clearer, so that the organs are working better, so that the body can sit more comfortably. So we have a lot of options of using these two things together. So I'd like to just do a little sequence and just check in. Let's just close our eyes for a minute. Just take like 10 breaths. Try to just stay focused on the breath for the count of 10 and just see where your mind is at right now. So keeping your eyes closed or allowing them to come gently open, let's just take a few shoulder rolls, rolling your shoulders, whichever direction feels good, up and back and down. And then try to roll them a little bit faster so that you may be building a little heat in the shoulders. And one more roll and let the shoulders relax down. Tip your head so that your left ear moves to your left shoulder. Breathe into the right side of the neck. Allow the jaw to soften. Inhale your head back to center and exhale, tipping your right ear to your right shoulder. Take a couple of breaths into the left side of the neck. Inhale your head back to center. And now lift up your right arm over your head and place the left fingers on the ground. And go ahead and hinge over to the side. I'll mirror you so we can all go this way. So breathe into the right side of the body Let the right hip be heavy onto the cushion or the chair. Send a couple of breaths into the right side of the ribs. Inhale, back up to center. Right fingers go on the ground. Lift the left arm up and tip over to the other side. Left side of the hips grounding down. Left hands rising up. Breathe. Inhale, back to center. As you exhale, drop your chin to your chest and just round forward a little bit. And as you inhale, lift the chin and lift the heart as well, belly coming forward. We'll take like 10 breaths like that, making the motion as big or as small as you like, almost like a little cat-cow, but done sitting up. Every inhale, you're opening up the front of the body, and every exhale, you're releasing the front and stretching the back. See if you notice a change in the mind as you move the body. When you look up and open the chest, does your mind get brighter? When you exhale, drop the chin, round the shoulders. Does your mind get calmer? As they say in Reading Rainbow, don't take my word for it. All the children of the 80s will get that, I guess. And finally come to center. So next we're going to take a little spinal twist. So take your right arm and put it to the outside of your left leg. Again, I'm mirroring you. Gently turning the torso. And at the head looking over the shoulder just as much as is comfortable. Sorry, Audrey, you can do this on the chair. You can put your hand on the back of the chair, but it can be a little easier on the ground. One more deep breath here. And as you exhale, come back to center. Take the opposite hand to the opposite leg, gently rotate the torso, and then add the head looking over the shoulder just as much as is comfortable for your neck. Letting the jaw relax, face relax. And inhale, come back to center. Now just place your fingertips on the ground behind you, or you can place them on the bolster. And inhale, lift the chest, and just lean back into your hands a little bit, lifting the chin but not letting the back of the neck collapse. Feel how brightening this back bend is for the mind. One more deep breath in, and as you exhale, come back to center, close your eyes and place your hands on your knees and just watch your breath where it enters and exits the nose for 10 breaths. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. What do you think? Any difference? Feels nice. I noticed that that even though there was a lot of like heart openers, back bends, things like that, before the sequence, my mind was very active because of the the notes and the talking and everything, and then afterwards it felt much more sort of stable. So instead of having like a waking up effect, it actually had a kind of bringing everything into the center effect. Audrey, anything?
Yeah, all the effort of kind of sort of sitting up straight, now I feel like I can sit up straight easier because I don't have so much tension here.
Yeah, yeah, you have a very tight neck. It's just amazing when you just try to do something like turn your head, especially if you've been on a computer for a number of hours or driving, like you feel everything is just seized up on the side from this position that we're in, so much like that. So even just, and that's why it's good to turn your head really slowly and gently, don't kind of go into a twist because sometimes it's a stretch just to look over your shoulder. So, and you got to think about, if we're talking about energy moving up and down the center of the body, how much that must cut things off to have a lot of tension in the neck and shoulders and jaw and stuff. So, from the Hatha Yoga Pratipika, which is a more recent text from the 15th century, which is more recent for yoga, when the body's energies move to and fro, the mind moves to and fro as well. When the energies become still, the mind too is stilled. When a yogi reaches perfect stillness, the inner energies also come to rest. So this is describing like what you get at Shavasana at the end of a yoga class. And it's one of the reasons why, it would be great to have more meditation offered in yoga studios after meditation. Or I know I have a friend that goes to a studio that just has an open quiet time where people can stay if they want, or at home to do it after your physical practice. Because when you move and stretch the body, you move the breath, you move the inner energies, things are getting sort of, shuffled around. But with the yoga poses and with stretching, you're kind of getting them lined up. And then when you come to stillness with your body, your breath becomes still, you've got like the best shot all day at meditation, really. So it's one of the reasons that the yogic path is sort of pointing towards meditation. From the Yoga Sutras as well, they say, Sthira Sukhasasanam in Sanskrit, but the translation, they say the poses bring about a feeling of well-being that stays with you. They do so through a balance of effort and relaxation and through endless forms of balanced meditation. So the physical poses of yoga are not just helping the body, it's saying right here, they give you a feeling of well-being through this balance of the activity and the calmness. And then they give you your best shot of these endless forms of meditation that come later. So that's all my sort of yoga business. But I wanted to, sort of talk about it because a lot of times in the context of the yoga studio, the meditational part of yoga is not as acknowledged. And actually, the people who are doing yoga regularly are in a really great shape to start a meditation practice. So I love the fact that Dana has an open meditation on Monday nights. There's meditation here on Wednesdays. Both of those, I think, are free half-hour group sitting sessions. She's got this class, and she's really acknowledging that mind-body connection in a really nice way, which you don't see that often. Go, Dana. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing, I wanted to do one more meditation, because the other thing is that because of the interconnectedness of these layers, the next sort of conclusion that we should come to is when you put your mind in a good place, when you calm the mind with meditation, when you meditate on loving kindness, like we're going to do for the last couple of minutes of class, you're positively affecting your body as well. And, you know, there's all these scientific studies about, as I listed before, all the different sort of, health problems that meditation can help us stay away from. And the ways that it changes the blood chemistry, the oxygen level of the blood, things like that. So you can see as well that from the inside, the thoughts, out to the way that the energies are running, to the breath, the way that your breath becomes very calm and sweet when your mind is in a good place. Even if you're just like, focusing, listening to the great music, right? Your breath is hardly there. You're so focused. And then the body, the physical body benefits from that as well. So it doesn't just work that way, it works that way as well. So if people need to just do a quick stretch, I'm going to close these doors this time, and then we're going to do a really common meditation to the different Buddhist traditions, which is just developing loving kindness and compassion. And that's a beautiful place to put your mind that can have really positive effects on the rest of your life outside of meditation and on your health and everything. I'm going to check and see if anyone is on Ustream or maybe has any. Hello, guest. Audrey, could I ask you to shut the doors? Okay. So whatever meditation position was good for you before, or whatever sort of changes you want to make through what we've learned so far. And Audrey's kindly put the blocks there if you've wanted to put your feet on something, or if you want to grab that looks a little high, I think. Maybe a blanket or something. It's good.
This is too high.
I think so, yeah, because you want your hips to be pretty. Okay, so first, just gently closing your eyes and becoming aware of the room that we're sitting in, acknowledging the quality of the present moment. The sounds, the sensations, light coming through your eyelids, the feeling of your body on the cushion, feeling of where your hands are resting. The sensations of your breath as they move your torso. The sensation of your breath moving in and out at the tip of your nose. The first step of the loving kindness meditation is to offer it to ourselves. So feel a sense of kindness towards yourself, acceptance, love. May I be well. May I be free from pain and suffering and the causes of suffering. May I be peaceful and at ease. Free of ill will or negativity towards others. May I instead be filled with a sense of loving kindness towards myself and others. Acceptance. Patience. May I be truly happy. Can be a bit of a trick to both give and accept this. So see if there's any resistance. All beings deserve to be happy, peaceful, and at ease. And I'm one of them, so may I be truly happy. And then see in front of you someone that you care about very much, that you already feel a sense of love for. And send these same emotions to them. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be truly happy. Feel a sense of compassion inside of yourself as you wish that they may be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Maybe think about something that you know they're suffering with right now. May you be peaceful and at ease, free from ill will towards others, anger, jealousy. Instead, may you be filled with loving kindness towards others. And look into this person's eyes and say to them, may you be truly happy. See them smile, overtaken by this love that you're showing towards them. And then bring to mind somebody that you don't know very well. Maybe somebody that you just see at the grocery store or the dry cleaners, a neighbor that you haven't really gotten around to talking to, but you see them getting in and out of the car. Bring them here in front of you. See them as real as if they were sitting right here. Maybe they look a little surprised. What am I doing at Sustainable Health and Wellness? And tell them, may you be filled with loving kindness. I don't really know you, but I know that you deserve that much. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be truly happy. You may not know them, but everybody's got some sort of pain and suffering in their life. So feel your heart expand, the sense of compassion out to them. May you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Maybe see a lifting of their burden. May you be free from ill will, all those negative thoughts that torment us, keep us in suffering. May you be peaceful and at ease. And look them in the eye and say, may you be truly happy. And see them smile, overwhelmed at this display of love and of kindness and compassion from someone who's almost a total stranger. And finally, bring here into the room with you someone that you're having a problem with. An enemy, they say in Tibetan Buddhism, but we usually don't like to think we have enemies. So somebody that you've got conflict with, somebody that you're having trouble forgiving, holding a grudge against. See them sitting in front of you. It may be hard to look at their face. There may be that much anger still, but try. And what you're about to do has nothing to do with right or wrong, whether they were right or you were right. It has to do with the basic human right for happiness. So say to them, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be truly happy. So hard to know what other people are experiencing, but somewhere in this person's heart, they're experiencing some sort of pain, suffering. And it doesn't take away a bit from your own happiness just to say, may you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May you be free from ill will and all those negative thoughts that are tormenting you. Maybe thoughts about me. May you be peaceful and at ease. And see their face clear. Maybe an expression you've never seen on them, at least since this conflict started. Look them in the eyes and say, may you be truly happy. And finally turn once more to yourself, having built up these feelings even stronger. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May I be free from ill will, peaceful and at ease. May I be truly happy. Just stay here for 10 breaths, bathing in those beautiful emotions of loving kindness and compassion. Slowly start to deepen and lengthen your breath, widening your awareness so you can feel your body and this room Wiggling your fingers and toes, inviting the energy back out into your periphery. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So it's a different sort of meditation, but you can see how having a mind that is in a clear and balanced place can allow that meditation to be so much more powerful. It's possible to go through those steps and to feel distracted. It's possible to feel so sleepy and dull that you don't really feel the emotions, you're just saying the words. But when you're putting yourself in a good place with all your outer methods, and really engaging in the meditation, it has such transformative power. Because if we can take those steps in our meditation, we're that much closer to really treating everyone in our life in that way. All right, we have yoga in 20 minutes, so I'd better finish up. But thank you guys so much for coming. It's been a real pleasure. And if you have any questions, I'll be here while we're setting up for yoga. And hopefully see you next week.
Yep.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.